This is Coordinator's Corner, presented by JCW, the Burger Boys.
You're in the Coordinator's Corner, brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys. Our second half hour of the show begins now as we talk special teams and defense with BYU's special teams coordinator and defensive ends coach, the former BYU linebacker Kelly Poppinga. And we'll be recapping last Friday's win over West Virginia, BYU's seventh consecutive win going back to last year, seventh straight nighttime win as well. 38-24 your final score. It improves BYU's record to 5-0 on the year, 2-0 in the Big 12. The victory also vaults BYU up 5 spots in the 2 major surveys, the AP and the coaches polls. This week, BYU's at Arizona. Coach Poppinga, welcome back.
It's great to be back. How you doing?
All right, first up, we love Friday nights at LaVell Edwards Stadium. BYU's now won its last 4 Friday games. BYU's 24-3 in its last 27 night games at home. And what a great home field advantage these kinds of games have turned out to be for BYU.
Yeah, the atmosphere was awesome. You know, we give a ton of credit to BYU and the fans, Cougar Nation. Dave Almodovar, I think, puts on a great show and gets those fans going and engage the whole entire game. And obviously, we put a good product on the field and combine all that stuff together, and it becomes pretty magical in there. It was fun.
Yeah, and I wasn't complaining that West Virginia had to kick off at 10:36 body clock time for them on Friday night.
Oh yeah, I've been on the other side of that when I coached at Virginia. We came here the same way, and I told the guys all week. I said by halftime these guys are going to be struggling. And, you know, to their credit, they battled pretty hard all the way to the end. But that's a tough road trip right there, and that was you know, for us to be able to, I think, execute the way we wanted to execute offensively, defensively, special teams wise. I think, you know, a couple turnovers here and there. That game's probably 45-10. But you know, I thought we played a solid game as a team.
You got a West Virginia quarterback making his first career start, redshirt freshman Khalil Wilkins. You knew he could run around. Ended up leading all players with 23 carries on the night. With that kind of guy, defensive ends, it's a busy night for Contain, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We knew going into the game, if 14 was going to start the game, that it was going to be a lot of scrambling, a lot of him trying to get out of the pocket and throw the ball, which they tried to do. You know, left-handed guy, they were going off to our right side the whole game, and then a lot of QB run game. I didn't realize by the end of the game he had rushed for 23.
Right.
You know, he had 23 carries. That was a lot. And just going through the film together as a staff this morning, we smacked that guy a lot.
He took a lot of hits.
And for him to go all the way through the game, the amount of times we hit him and the way that we hit him, I was pretty impressed. I have respect for that kid. He's a tough kid, and you could tell he's going to be a really good player in the future.
Yeah. I want to start with a kickoff note. Will Farron had touchbacks on fewer than half of his kickoffs coming into the game, and sometimes kicking for a return is part of your game plan. But Friday, he had touchbacks on all 7 kickoffs.
Yeah, he told me pregame, he's like, Coach, the ball's flying tonight. So I knew that it was going to be hard for them, especially going into the game. I knew that if the ball was 3 or 4 yards deep, they were going to probably take a touchback. They weren't going to be taking the risk of trying to bring that out, especially against our kickoff cover team that had been pretty good besides one kickoff this year. So I knew that if we were going to kick that, you know, 5 yards deep, that they were going to take touchbacks there. And so Will did a great job. I think most of them were, you know, out of the back of the end zone.
8-9 yards deep to begin.
Yeah, and he felt good, and you know, that fired me up. I love our guys that cover kicks, but at the same time, there's times where I just tell Will, please just kick this out of the back of the end zone. But yeah, he's kicking the ball well right now.
Since BYU won the toss, again, you knew you'd be on defense first. And when facing a tempo team like West Virginia, 3 and outs, just what you want, because they're going to be quick probably. And you got one to begin the game, 3 snaps, and it was 1 minute, and you're off the field.
Yeah, and it was, you know, the great thing about it, when you go through a game plan and you're scouting an opponent, it was really 3 plays that we thought we were going to see right off the bat. We thought the quarterback was going to try to keep it early in the game, and they had really 2 design runs early, and then this was really 3 with a QB draw that we were able to get them onto as well. So they wanted 14 to be established early in the game, and I think they saw some of the success that the QB run game had in the Colorado game, and so they thought they'd try to come back to it. And I thought our guys did a great job early of stopping him and then making them know that we were prepared and that we had made some adjustments from a week ago. And you know, I thought our guys from the back end of the linebackers to the front line, I thought we all did a great job of pursuing the football and getting after that guy.
First chance for points came after BYU's first offensive drive. 48-yard field goal try for Will Farron. Had the leg just a little offline.
Yeah, you know, and it was 2 in a row for Will. I don't know the last time he's missed 2.
Well, yeah, he went 25 straight and then a miss last game. Yeah, but he started a new streak later. We'll get to that, but still.
And Will came, and the thing I love about Will, as soon as he comes off the field, he knows exactly what happened. And he just told me, he said, yeah, Coach, I hit a little bit with my ankle. And he's like, we'll be fine. He's like, I'm good. But I just love when he comes off, like, the confidence that he has. He knows what he's got to fix. He's still 9 for 11 on the year, one of the best in the country still.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, we have extreme confidence in him, and he has extreme confidence in himself. It's just, I think we got so used to 25 in a row, we're just thinking it's automatic when it goes in. He'll be back on track come Saturday.
And he got back on track. First 3 West Virginia drives could not have gone much better for the BYUD. 3 and out, an INT, and a turnover on downs. The INT set up BYU's first touchdown. Therian Alexander III makes a great break on the ball.
Yeah, Trey did a great job. One thing that it came back later in the game, because you can see right here how he jumped on that so fast, is you start to, you don't have great eye control right there, and double moves come later on in the game because of that play right there. But, man, what a great way to start the game. Second series of the game, we get a pick. I thought it was going to the house. Everybody was giving him some trouble there about him not getting into the end zone, getting caught by the quarterback. But a great play, and great way to set our offense up with our first touchdown.
It looked like a Gennaro Guilford break on the ball against Utah from back in the day. All right. The ensuing BYU touchdown followed by a Will Ferrin PAT. He already had set the BYU career record for consecutive PATs the week before. He extended it to 89 with his first PAT. By the end of the night, he's sitting at 93 consecutive points after extending his own BYU record like he did with the field goals. Yeah,
that's, at some point you would think in college that they're going to start moving that back, because I think a lot of college kickers are, having that much success with their PATs. But, yeah, it's a great deal with the snap to the hold to the kick and the protection. I know I always talk about that, but then having a guy like Will that can be able to put it through the uprights when you feel extremely confident. We have a lot of confidence in that team right now. Coach Woods, he helps me out with that team, with the protection part of it and the personnel part of it, and he's done a great job getting those guys ready to go.
So 93 and counting. You never want to take it for granted, but it's all but a given that those are going in, and that's awesome. By the way, I did check on the NCAA record. I think it's 303 or something.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
We got to wait for that. A lot of touchdowns to score.
All right. BYU scored a TD after the INT we saw. BYU then scores a TD after a turnover on downs. That's complimentary football, right? Gives BYU a nice 14-0 lead. Defense gets the offense short fields. Offense takes advantage.
Yeah, and that's something Coach Hill always talks about and reiterates with our defense, is that if a team wants to go for it, a lot of teams start to think about it when they cross their own 40 and get to midfield right there. And we know if a team wants to go for it in those situations, we actually call that 4-down area from the 40 to the 40s, is if they want to go for it, that's really a turnover on downs for our defense, for our team. And so they did a great job. I think Ciale Serra did a great job on 4th down, filling on inside zone, and came up, smacked that guy, and was able to push him back and give our offense there the ball right around the 50-yard line, which is great field position for them.
A 14-0 lead to work with. BYU is a pretty good team with leads. Under Kalani, BYU is now 48-9 and has won 17 straight when scoring first. When taking a lead to the break at halftime, the record's 57-7 with 12 straight wins. It's a great front-running program. You really know how to hold leads well.
Yeah, and that's I think it's an emphasis what Kalani talks about all the time in A-Rod, and just making sure our team starts fast. And I would say that statistic is probably pretty consistent with most teams in college football. You want to start fast. You want to control the game. You want to get ahead, right? If you can get ahead, then you can kind of control defensively some of the things that you can do to pressure the quarterback. Teams start to press a little bit, maybe get away from the run and start to throw the ball, and then now you can set up blitzes and different things that confuse quarterbacks and make that lead even bigger. So, it's just an emphasis of the program to make sure we're starting fast, and it's fun to do that, and especially when you defer it. And if we can get a 3 and out and get the ball to the offense to begin the first quarter right there, but then be able to get the ball to start the second half as well, that just helps that whole thing continue to roll, and that complementary football like you were talking about.
I want to zip to punt return for a sec. You use both Parker Kingston and Tiger Bachmeier on punt returns Friday night. You basically have 2 starters at the position right now.
Yeah, and like I think I've mentioned this before, we have a lot of confidence in both of those guys. Both very experienced, Tiger with his experience at Stanford and Parker with what he had done last year. But yeah, we have a lot of confidence, and really in this situation right here, this was a safe punt return, and we had our defense out there potentially wanting, thinking that they might be faking it. This one, I was hoping Parker wouldn't have fair caught that. I thought he had some space there. And then we missed one block on this. Evan Johnson actually missed his block on that, but we had a wall return set up right there. But if Evan can make that block, when I get in front of the guys, and I'm going to do it today in our team meeting here in a second, is whenever I talk about punt return and kick return, usually always comes down to one guy. If one guy can execute and make their block, usually you got 9 of the 11 other guys making their blocks, or 10 of the 11 making their blocks. And so, Evan, in that one instance right there, if he makes his block, there's a nice little seam up the sideline right there that we had, set up with our punt return team.
Let's go back into game flow. You're up 21-10 late third quarter now. We saw, or rather late second quarter, we saw West Virginia kick off into the end zone. Cody Hagan took it out from 2 yards deep, ended up with a decent return. Did it again later for a similar return. He clearly has some leeway with you to make those kinds of calls when he's in the end zone.
Yeah, we're confident with our kick return team, and especially when we're playing certain teams, that kicker didn't do a great job with hang time. So we know if they're not putting a lot of hang under the ball, that we're going to have some time to be able to get the ball out a little farther than what we would like. But in this situation right there, really, honestly, it might be, is it this one? I'm trying to think if it's the second one or if this is still the first one. Yeah, so this is the first one right here still. But in both of these instances right there, we're one guy away from making a big return. And then really our second return was the one that he misread it, and if he reads it correctly, it's going all the way to, it's a touchdown. We got a guy for a guy on every block, and he comes off the sideline. He told me, he's like, "Coach, you're not going to like that when you see it." I told him misread that one, but I think he's hitting it hard. In both of those instances, when we ran that return right there to our sideline, we were one block away. Talon Alfrey, who's usually really, really good on this team, misses his block. His guy makes the tackle. We're a guy for a guy on blocking scheme everywhere else. It's going to be him and the kicker. And then the guy that we double team in our scheme ends up making the play, which I tell him that if the guy ever makes the play, that's the double team guy. That's disappointing. And so the two guys, we got that straight, and they fixed that the rest of the game. But we're close on our kick return. I feel very confident going into this next game. Now, Arizona's kickers, I think only kicked one, not out of the end zone this year, so it might be hard to get a return this week. But we'll see. I think it's an advantage, and getting return yards is a big deal. We're going to continue working that.
You got to halftime Friday leading 28-10. Thoughts from the defensive side of the ball at the break? What were they?
We felt really good. I would say the thing that we were probably most disappointed in coming into halftime was just how we didn't respond with sudden change after turnovers. We hadn't had to deal with that all year long, which was a pretty awesome deal in the first 4 games. Not that
no offensive giveaways.
Yeah, not have to worry about sudden change, and then now it happens, and now we were anxious to see how we were going to respond as a defense. And we look back to last year when we were playing at SMU, and we responded great in those situations. And a really similar situation in this game where they're inside the 5-yard line, and on the very first play they score a touchdown. So that was a little disappointing to us, not executing and not having the right mindset of going out there and saying, hey, it doesn't matter where the ball's placed, the defense is going to go out there, we're going to make plays, and we're going to get them stopped. And so those two, that happened twice in the game with sudden change where they had the ball inside the 20-yard line right there. And we need to respond better as a defense when that happens.
I remember saying on the radio Friday night when it happened that the defense is going to relish the opportunity to either force a field goal or maybe even get no points on this, because that's kind of how you guys come out of this thing.
And we should have the second time out. We got them into 3rd and long. I think it was 3rd and 7, and they ran a QB draw, and we didn't execute something that we needed to. And unfortunately, I think it's great learning lessons. When we get into our defensive meeting today, that's going to be a point of emphasis for us of how we respond in sudden change and how we need to be better going forward.
Welcome back to the Coordinator's Corner, looking back at BYU's 38-24 win over West Virginia Friday. BYU's first ever win over the Mountaineers. It was their first ever trip to Provo. Cougs now ranked 18th in both the AP and the coaches' polls. BYU under Kalani Sitake, 31-9, and when they are ranked in the top 25. Back into our breakdown of last Friday's win over the Mountaineers with special teams coordinator and defensive ends coach Kelly Poppinga. So 28-10 lead at halftime. Offense gets the ball to start the second half. Chance to score points then with both the final possession of the first half and first possession of the second. That got done. And it was a very special team-centric drive to open the second half because it included a fake field goal that moved the sticks on a 4th and 6.
Yeah, and somebody told me Hans Olsen called it.
He actually did right before.
I need to talk to Hans and know what happened. How did he know it was coming? Did he tell you?
We didn't actually cover it after, but he called it on the air. Yeah,
somebody told me that he called it. I'm like, great, okay, Hans knows my game now. But yeah, we had been practicing this fake for weeks. There was a couple other teams that we liked it against, and so to be able to see that we could get the same fake against West Virginia was great. And when we called it, Sam was all fired up. I know Will wanted to kick the 53-yard field goal right there, but in that instance right there, we knew that we were going to have the look that we wanted, and Sam executed it, and it was great to see the other guys. I thought, the guys that need credit over there too, Ethan Erickson, Vil Puha, Kyle. Gosh, I always forget his last name. The O-line.
Svarchuk.
Yeah, there you go. And then Gentry and Drew Gentry. They're all over there. 4 great blocks, and really Gentry could get a little more of that guy that ended up blocking Sam, but Sam did a great job. We just needed a first down. A touchdown would have been great, but Sam, man, he looked like his old footy days right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Running around, and he was all fired up, and that was fun to execute. I was happy for our guys, and got us closer to an easier field goal later on after the offense got the ball.
I think both punters in that game were Aussies from Friday night.
Yeah.
What's the chain of command on decisions for fake field goals and punts?
Kalani's pretty good at kind of letting us do our thing. Jay's heavily involved in that. He's had a lot of history with that when his days at Utah and at Weber State of calling it. And so it's usually just communication. Kalani just trusts us to do it and make sure it's at a reasonable time. And, at that moment, Jay just said, hey, remember your fakes there. Remember that, our fakes are ready to go. And sure enough, that drive was long, and we were just sitting there thinking, man, if we could get a touchdown out of this drive, it would be better than a field goal. And we just thought, it was, sometimes fakes are designed in certain locations. It was in the location that we wanted to be in on the correct hash. Some fakes are made for the left hash, some are made for the right hash, some are made for the middle of the field. It kind of just depends. And we have multiple that we can do, that just the timing of it ended up being good.
Well-executed fake, obviously. It doesn't result in the TD, but it does get points on the board after an 8-minute drive. So you want to get points, certainly. And Will Farron hits from 37, starts a new streak, let's say, after those 2 misses, followed a streak of 25 straight field goal makes. That's a hard thing to do. So, we'll give him a couple misses here and there.
Yeah. And I think I've said this before. Anything inside of 44, our goal as a special teams unit, and for our kicker, is he needs to be 100%. That's, I think, pretty in college football. If you're a good kicker, you're going to hit 100% inside of 44. You should at least that should be your goal. And so, 37-yard field goal for him as a chip shot, and you can see that was pretty easy for him to get that ball in. And like I said, if you look at West Virginia in their PAT field goal block in that situation, they had everybody back. So that's one of the reasons why you want to run fakes and execute fakes, is now the pressure of field goal block goes away, right? And so now they're all paranoid about, oh, here comes another fake, and we got 3 guys rushing our kicker at that time. And so that's another reason why we want to execute it. And it's fun to just be able to see our guys execute it, and then now be able to go in the meeting and show them, hey, this is why we do the fake, because now look, this is what West Virginia brought on the next field goal block. There was no pressure, and that really takes the pressure off of our kicker.
So 31-10 lead on the field goal. Next West Virginia series ends on a Tanner Wall interception. 4th straight game with at least 1 pick for the BYU defense. That makes it 18 of the last 19 games with at least 1 interception.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I think a lot of credit to Coach Hill and just the way he designs defense and the way that we do certain techniques and the way our guys coach. But at the end of the day, players got to make plays. And unfortunately, I thought Evan was going to make that play. He was in a very similar situation, almost in the exact same spot. I think it was in the second quarter. And he almost gets an interception almost on the exact same play earlier. And he just kind of misjudged this one, and I think got in the way of the receiver just enough to where he couldn't catch that clean. And then Tanner looks very similar to a year ago when we played Arizona, almost the same exact corner of the end zone where Tanner made a similar play against Arizona. And so we run that drill. We call it a tip drill. We run it all the time with the corners and the safeties. Those situations happen all the time where either the corner tips the ball or the receiver tips the ball when it's a contested throw. And Tanner made a great play. And it was fun to see our guys. We needed a turnover. We had given the ball away a couple times, and then we needed to kind of get back on track. So.
4th career pick for Tanner. Once BYU took a 38-17 lead in the 4th, kind of pretty much over, but there was a nice goal line stand to keep it 38-17 at that moment. They ran 4 plays on a 1st and goal from the 7, never got in.
Yeah, and that was, unfortunately we stopped them. I think there was going to be a 4th and 7. Logan Latui made a really good play on the quarterback, and Keanu hit him late, so that gave him even more plays inside the 10-yard line. But we got a bunch of young guys in right now, and I give a ton of credit to Coach Enna. Miles Hall's in right now, and Max Alford and Ace Kafusi, some guys that are younger and less experienced, but man, they came in here and they did a great job. There's Miles making a play, and that's Max right there on
the 4th down. Yep.
And he made a great tackle to stop that guy to make sure he couldn't get forward. And I thought our D-line played great all night long. Anisi Purcell and JT, they played great, and Keanu played great. And I just felt like the backers were clean and able to fill the holes. And that was really fun for our team to see. A stop like that, I think, is people don't understand how hard that is to do when the ball's on the 1-yard line and be able to get a stop. And for some of our younger players to be involved in that was exciting.
After a goal line stand, there's a decent chance chance you could find yourself punting out of the end zone, and that's what happened. Nice work by Sam to get a kick away.
Yeah,
there.
and in this situation right here, one of the things I'm going to point out to the team is that the snap on this wasn't great by Garrison, so we got to get the snap up and make that cleaner for Sam to be able to operate that better. But Sam did a great job of securing the snap and getting the ball out. I think it was a 49-yard punt. They tried to come after and get a pressure and be able to get a block punt, and protection was great, and Sam's operation was awesome, and just got to be a little cleaner with our snaps. And you see our gunners, Maury and Marcus, doing a great job getting down there and getting in the face of the returner.
Before players of the game, I want to get real quickly to Logan Lutui, one of your DNs. He was second on the team in tackles, had a pass breakup in a hurry. I thought he had a nice game. Yeah,
Logan's playing really well right now. I think is he leading the team in tackles right now? If I remember seeing the stats right, ahead of Glasgow and Jack just barely. But he's playing really well. He's solid. He's super smart. He knows the defense as good as anybody out there. There's sometimes in the meetings when he corrects me and he's like, "Hey, coach, no, it's actually this." He's been in this defense, with Coach Hill all the way back to I think 2020 or 2021. So he's a great leader, great for our team, and I'm just really happy to see him playing well right now.
All right, we've got to get to break, but before we do, let's get special teams and defensive players of the game. First of all, your special teams guy was Sam Vanderhart.
Yeah, we're going to go with Sam again, and you execute the fake, and then his 49-yard punt, I thought was huge in that situation, and he's playing at a really high level right now. He's one of the top punters in the country in net punt, and hopefully he continues to do that.
Jay Hill's defensive players of the game, 3 DBs: Tanner Wall, Evan Johnson, and Therian Alexander III.
Yeah, and the reason why is those guys. Number 4 is a really, really good receiver. A week before, he had some big plays against Utah, and we were able to shut him down. He had no catches until the very last drive of the game. That very last drive of the game, he gets his first catches of the game, and those guys did a great job of shutting him down. And that was one of our goals, is we wanted to keep number 4 under a certain amount of catches and a certain amount of yards. And unfortunately, that last drive when we put the backups in, they gave that goal up. But those guys played really well to shut that guy down.
Cougs 5-0, Arizona 4-1. Coach Poppinga, some FBS offensive ranks for these guys. They're a top 50 program pretty much in the ones that matter. And Noah Fafita's looked really good. He was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week today.
Yeah, watching him this morning, he can throw the ball really, really well. He's dynamic in the run game too as well. They got some good receivers. They got a really good running back we like a lot. Their O-line's solid. They're good. I think they're better than they were a year ago on offense, and I know they've improved a lot on defense. So it's going to be a great challenge. It's going to be exciting.
Another night game for BYU, and I think we've talked about those numbers. You're doing all right at night.
Yeah, could be a little warmer than we.
It's supposed to be 90s this week, so yeah.
That'll be good for our guys. I think they responded well at East Carolina when it was a little hot, and yeah, it'll be fun to get down there.
All right, good luck this weekend, Coach. Great to see you.